Well, hello. I've been debating about starting a small channel on YouTube where we go over just some of the old comic books that people have in storage. And as you see here, I was quite a big fan of collecting The Amazing Spider Man for a while. That would be the single longest comic book series that I ever collected. And this is something I thought I could do where I just sort of kind of tell ordinary stories about collecting comic books over the years. When I was young, like the internet was first coming out, and when I learned that people could make their own websites through HTML, I always wanted to make a website like this where I just talked about comic books in the most simplest of ways. Gonna be looking over here at this one now today. Amazing Spider-Man 532, and as you see, Civil War. Now this is way before Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. did that movie, and one of the real nice things about the Civil War series that came out in 2006 really is we got to see so many of our favorite characters all coming together. It was all about crossover. And as you see here, we got Wolverine, we got Mr. Fantastic, and other members of the Fantastic Four. But if you look at the road to Civil War, which is the things that came before it, they just have this little kind of teasing banner at the top, and that goes back for a while. These were monthly issues, mind you, so they were preparing to have, a very large comic book event. Now over here, when we have this very large red banner that takes up half of the cover, it is my personal belief that they really did this to give a sort of revival to the comic book industry, because at this time the comic book industry was going underground, and comic books were still sold in stores at this point. PlayStation 2, Xbox, oh, and look here, Nintendo GameCube. Don't hear too much about them. But the comic book industry was going underground, but at this time, you could still buy things in stores. So it's like, I would go to Borders so many times. Remember Borders before they shut down, and they would just have comic books from some of the lesser known Marvel characters, because I was always fascinated with the lesser known ones. By that I just mean Venom, Mystique, Emma Frost. They all had their own series, and I would go there just to kind of read things from those three people. And Star Wars had lots of comic books out at the time, because in 2006 we just had the Revenge of the Sith came out, episode 3. So, there are a lot of memories that are associated with these things. Oh yeah, so, the reason why. They really needed something, for starters, to get your attention. And the sort of massive monochrome block is an excellent way to just get people's attention when it comes to advertising, especially with the color red. As we learn on, once you go through marketing classes, red is the color that stands out most to the human eye. So when you want to get someone's attention, the color red is a very good way to go about that. And Superman and Spider-Man and many Marvel heroes, even Iron Man, have shades of red as well. And it really just draws people into it. The entire Marvel logo would be another example of that. So they needed stuff that people could see that would get their attention, and that's pretty much it. They wanted to kind of just pull people into the comic book world. Now, it was something that was not exactly unsuccessful, but it's I don't know how much it got people hooked into comics on the absolute mainstream. I really think the industry just sort of went underground in the sense that people started buying online, and they weren't selling comic books in the supermarkets like they used to. I used to buy my comics at Walmart. I don't know about you guys, in 1995, 1996. I would be buying them just off the rack at Walmart, one of those rotating ones. And some of the great things about comic books are the things like the ads. It's you have X-Men Hero Clicks, and you would look at this stuff and you would never buy it, but it looks awesome. It's I would love to own all of these now. Colossus and Cyclops, Storm, of course. These things are awesome. And Wolverine underwear. My boxers, bub. Who would not want that? If I can still order those now, I think I might. But yes, X-Men 3. This was also something that really came out in 2006. X-Men 3. And this is talking about the video game. But I saw X-Men 3 in the theaters 3 times. Just because it was a fad. Just because it was something to do. Oh, well, a lot of memories going on in 2006. And the sort of... I guess it was the twilight years of having comics just sold in the market and the bookstore, as opposed to, just getting things off the internet like Amazon and eBay. A lot of great memories going into this. Well, I know we don't have the absolute best quality, and I'm going to do some more of these comics book stories on YouTube, but just sharing some old things and some old feelings. And I hope to talk about this subject more. Try to keep my zoom in a better position next time so I'm not blurring the fudge out of everything. Alright, until next time. See ya. One last look here. Today's one we did 532, The Amazing Spider-Man Civil War.